Hi everyone, welcome again to Enjoy English School. I'm Bruce.
I'm Anthony.
Today in our Cloze category for this month's magazine, we have an interesting story. Everyone who speaks English and grew up in an English culture knows about Murphy's Law. If you don't know what that means, don't worry, we're about to tell you.
没错，今天呢，我们要讲的主题是墨菲定律。好，我们待会儿就会告诉大家什么是墨菲定律。
Murphy's Law, notice the apostrophe S. Murphy happens to be quite a common family name in English, in Irish, and in Scottish households. Murphy. Sometimes it's even a first name, but usually a family name. So it's a possessive. That means it belongs to Murphy or it came from Murphy. And law, as you'll see, is not the kind of law we usually think of.
OK， 所以在这里的话，我们看到 title 写的是 Murphy's Law。这个 Murphy 老师刚刚讲过，是一个非常非常常见的一个名字。像我看到这个字 Murphy， 就像想到 Eddie Murphy， 类似像是很多的这种电影演员啦等等，都有这个 Murphy 这样子的那个 family name。那 Murphy's Law 老师刚刚讲了一个 apostrophe， 就是那一撇，那后面加一个 s 就是指所有格嘛，对不对 ？Murphy's Law 这个 law 指的是定律，而不是我们平常想到的那个法律。OK，Murphy's Law 到底是什么呢？记得以前在大学的时候，我上 Bruce 老师的课，当时呢上课他所讲的问的问题，我会的他都不会教到我。当然我不会的时候，哎呦 Anthony， 你来回答这一题，这就叫 Murphy's Law 啊 ，OK， 好，很好玩的。
And that's why our first sentence describes this law. Murphy's Law is the idea that if anything can go wrong, it will. As in this excellent example, you prepare hours for a test, you read everything, but maybe the last page you decide you're too tired. The next day you take the test and it's all about the last page.
没错。好，在这里的话，我们看到第一段的第一句话，他就提到说 ，Murphy's Law， 好，墨菲定律 is the idea that， 好，这边的 that 就是说明 idea 里面的内容，就是这样子一个想法，这样子一个概念。什么概念呢 ？If anything can go wrong, it will。好，只要事情能有出错的可能性，它就一定会出错，这就叫做墨菲定律。
Okay, our second sentence starts with our first close blank. And when we have one, I usually say blank. Let's say you buy an expensive cell phone. In the first sentence, we defined Murphy's Law for you. And now, what would we do if we start talking about an expensive cell phone? What connects these two? Would it be A, for example, B, as a result, C, in fact, or D, by the way? Well, we just got started with this describing of Murphy's Law. The best choice certainly would be A, for example, because when we talk about the smartphone, that will help us to explain or give you an example of Murphy's Law.
所以在这里的话呢，你可以看到老师刚刚前面提到说，在第一句话 ，we try to define Murphy's Law. Define 这个字的意思是定义，好，给予这个定义，它的拼法是 D-E-F-I-N-E。Define 有的时候你会听到 definition，definition 就是把最后那个 e 去掉，变成 I-T-I-O-N。Definition 就是定义的名词，所以在这边我们先讲了这个定义之后，再举一个很好的例子来说明一下这个定义实际的内容。所以这里的话，第一题我们最好的选项是 A。For example， 就是举例来说，Let's say， 好，很多时候你会常常讲 Let's say， 比方来讲 Let's say 这种说法 ，You buy an expensive cell phone， 你买了一只很贵的手机，好，就要举例了。
Let's continue. When you show it off to your friends, you drop it face down and break the screen. Well, you've got a new smartphone, you can't wait to show it off. And that means, hey, look what I've got. You're proud about something and you try to show it off. But as you do this, whoops, it drops. You drop it and it breaks the glass, and now no one can see what your new smartphone can do.
没错，所以有的时候悲剧就是会发生，对不对？哈，那今天你看他说，When you show it off to your friends， 你把这个东西拿给朋友炫耀一番，你看我新买的 iPhone，然后呢，you drop it face down， 然后突然间你手没拿稳，然后它居然就跌下去，它这个 iPhone 就掉到地上，掉到地上不说，最害怕就是摔到荧幕嘛，它就是荧幕朝下的摔在地上，然后呢 break the screen， 然后荧幕就破了。好 ，OK， 在这种情况下，你看到整个都傻眼，然后人家也没有机会看到你 iPhone 到底长得什么样子，有什么功能，因为已经坏了。
Notice face down. We also say face up. If you drop it, but you can see the screen and it's not broken, then you were lucky. When you dropped it face up. And in a copy machine, it may ask you to put your paper in face up or face down. So here's an example of facing something down.
没错，在这边的话 ，face down 就是面朝下 ，face up 是面朝上。老师刚刚用了这个影印机来说明，你到底要把这个文件是面朝下的放还是面朝上的放，也会使用 face up、face down 这样的说法。
If the phone had landed on its side or face up, it blank fine. If the phone had landed, if with the had and the PP is going to be contrary to fact. That simply means that isn't the way something happened. It's not true. Remember, it landed face down. But if it had landed face up, blank fine. Number 2, our second item, A, had been, B, might be, C, was, or D, would have been. Well, here's the grammar king, and he's going to explain our 过去
过去事实相反的假设。
Yes.
在这个地方我们讲一下，在讲到过去式相反假设的时候，有时候你会听到外国老师讲的 third conditional， 就是第三种假设语气。那在这边的话，我们就会特别注意到，说是针对过去的事情提出一种平行时空的想象。这时候你会使用过去相反的假设，它的用法是 if something had VPP, something would have VPP， 所以在这边的话，我们会用一个实际的搭配，在这边说 if the phone had landed， if something had VPP 嘛，这边是 had landed， 所以后面的话要接 it would have been fine， 也就是说，它当初如果是面朝上的掉下地的话呢，它现在的话搞不好还是完好如初的，不会受损。可惜事与愿违，针对过去事件提出一个可能的相反假设，这时候我们使用的是过去时态相反假设，也就是假设法的这种第三种。OK， 好，在这边的话，我们特别注意的用法 ：if something had VPP, something would have VPP。
Thank you, Grammar King.
谢谢大家。
Let's continue. But thanks to Murphy's Law, you'll need to get it repaired. You wanted to show it off, but you broke it, and now you're not able to show your friends, show off, but you're going to have to get it repaired, which means it's broken. Now fix it.
没错，在这边的话 ，but thanks to， 千万不要觉得 thanks to 就一定是好事情，就一定是表达感谢的事情，这边不一定哦。Thanks to 其实就是 because of 的意思，就是因为这样的事情，后面是可好可坏。所以在这边的话，你可以说 ，but thanks to Murphy's Law， 就是拜这个墨菲定律之赐，你呢现在得要去修理了，因为只要朝下，只要出错的，它就有可能出错；只要摔到，就可能要去修手机 ，get it repaired or get it fixed， 都是用来表达让这个东西再被修好。好，在这边的话，我们常常会使用这样 get something done， 或者很多时候是 get it fixed、get it repaired。记得后面要用这个 VPP 的形态哦。
Or, remember, we gave you one example, and now here's another one. Sometimes we combine two of different things with and, but or is a different situation, but it's still under Murphy's Law. You might hear about a restaurant that serves delicious food. Boy, oh boy, I can't wait to try that restaurant out.
没错，在这里 or 指的是另外一种可能性喽。他提出来，他说 You might hear about a restaurant that serves delicious food。你说不定有听到过，你听说那家有一个新开的一家店不错哎，老师我们要不要去吃啊？要 hear about something a restaurant that serves delicious food。听说东西很好吃，很棒哎。然后嘞
Yet, but, when you try to make a reservation for an important blank, you find out that it closed down the day before. So you just hear about a great new restaurant and you want to make a reservation. You want to call and let them know you would like to be at their restaurant, what day, what time, how many people. Make a reservation. So this is an important, here is our third close item. A, condition. B, occasion. C, responsibility. Or D, environment. Environment? No. Responsibility? That's not your responsibility. Occasion. Aha. That's an event, a time of doing something. And condition doesn't work here either. Definitely choose occasion. An important occasion is why you want to go to a good restaurant, and you'll probably have to make a reservation.
所以在这边的话，你想到说，如果说是一个重要的场合 occasion， 好，在这里的话，你要为了这个重要场合去定位，所以他这边讲说 ，Yet when you try to make a reservation for an important occasion， 当你真的为了重要的事情啊，比方说什么结婚纪念日啦，或者是生日啦，你要去毕业啦等等，你要去定位的时候，就发现到you find out that， 好，就发现到说。It closed down the day before， 居然这个餐厅呢，在前一天就歇业了，没机会吃到了 ，OK， 只能在梦里想象了。所以这个时候 close down 指的意思是关门大吉了。然后呢 ，you find out that， 之所以叫 find out means you learn something new，OK， 你知道突然意外的发现说，什么关门了？哇，没有机会订到了，那种感觉也叫做 Murphy's Law， 就代表说当你要做这件事的时候，他就没有在那个地方准备好。
Okay, let's take a short break. After we come back, we'll finish. Hi, and welcome back. Now let's find out more about Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law is named after Edward Murphy, Jr. This means that this person's father was named Edward Murphy, too. And sometimes the father would be called Edward Murphy, Sr., which would then be capital S and a lowercase n, S-N, Senior. Senior means above, older, and sometimes more experienced. Junior is the son of the senior.
OK， 这个地方的话，我相信各位你有听过一些演员，一样也是有 Junior 的名，比方说演那个钢铁人的那 Iron Man 里面那个主角 Robert Downey Jr.， 有的时候你会知道，那你可以想象说他的爸爸应该也叫 Robert Downey，I think 。
Yeah.
所以说在这个情况下的话，你会看到 JR， 然后一点就是代表说他爸爸也是这个名字，为了要区分到底是爸爸还是儿子，所以到后来他会加上。Junior 或是老师刚刚讲的 Senior 来区分，所以在这个第二段第一句话，我们就看到 Murphy's Law is named after， 就是以什么东西来命名的。好，这个墨菲定律就是以墨菲这个人，他叫做 Edward Murphy Jr.， 以他的名字来命名的定律。
And who was he? He was an engineer for the U.S. Air Force. An engineer is a person who takes science and builds things with it.
OK， 所以这边第二句话我们就来看到他就身份是什么呢？他说 He was an engineer， 工程师 for the U.S. Air Force， 他是美国空军的工程师。工程师就是把这些科学变成实际物质的人，实际物品，实际可以使用的这些科技的人。
One day, Murphy's team was doing an experiment to test the effects of gravity. Now, as I said, an engineer is connected to science. You have to understand a lot of science, but you want to do things with it. You want to build things that work, for example. and he was working with a group of men, a team, doing an experiment, which means they're trying to learn something in a way that has not been done before. And the experiment had to do with gravity. That is the force that actually attracts things. So Earth, our planet, pulls us down due to gravity.
所以在这边的话 ，gravity 就是指重力，对不对？好，地心引力的意思。所以在这边的话，他说 one day 有一天呢 ，Murphy's team was doing an experiment. Experiment 指的是实验。You can say do an experiment. 如果是比较那种书面官方正式一点的东西，我们会说 conduct an experiment. Carry out an experiment 都可以。Conduct 这个字的拼法是 conduct。Conduct 就是做实验的做，这是比较正式的。平常我们可以讲 do an experiment， 所以他们就在做实验啦。To test the effects of gravity， 去测试一下地心引力、重力的这种影响。好，他们在做这个实验。
One team member kept making mistakes, though. Well, that happens. If a team of people, if a group of people work together, it's unusual if they all do everything correctly all the time.Someone sooner or later will make a mistake.
OK， 所以接下来呢，各位都知道，一个团体里面多少都会有一两个容易出包的人嘛。好呢 ，one team member， 好，其中一个这个 team member 成员呢 ，kept making mistakes though。不过其中一个成员一直在犯错，一直在犯错。
Murphy got mad. That means angry here. He got angry and said, "If there's more than one way to do a job," and one of those ways will blank disaster, then he will do it that way. Well, that's not a very nice thing to say, but it may be true. But he was angry about this because he kept making mistakes. So if there's more than one way to do a job, and of course there are, and one of those ways will blank disaster. Okay, here's our fourth close, but look at the back.Then he will do it that way. He is the guy who made all the mistakes. Well, what are we talking about in terms of a disaster? Is it A, figure out, B, count on, C, result in, or D, mix up? The answer here is result in. The man will cause something to happen, and then the result, I just said it,it will cause something to happen, and we call that a result. So A results in B, A causes B to happen.
没错，像这一题目呢，就是特别讲到因果关系 ，A 导致了什么，我们可以使用 result in something， 好，用这种方式来表达 A 导致了 B，B 的话是结果 ，That's the result of your action. 所以在这边的话，他提到说 ，if there's more than one way to do a job， 好，他非常非常生气的讲说，要是这个任务有超过一种方式可以做完，然后呢 ，and one of those ways will result in disaster， 其中一项会导致大灾难的话，这个家伙就会选这样啦，好，非常非常生气，非常非常的我觉得很凶这样讲很凶。
Later, after this experiment.Another co-worker. Co means together. Worker is on your team. The people on your team, the members on your team are your co-workers. He joked. He said something funny to newspapers that their team was successful. There were no mistakes because they always took care to consider Murphy's Law.Now, the man who was angry and said this about that poor co-worker's mistakes, his family name, possibly his first name, was Murphy. And when Murphy said this, he was so angry, it sounded like it was true. And that impressed this one guy who then went to the newspapers and said, we're successful because we understand our friend Murphy's law.That things can go wrong, so you have to plan things in great detail.
OK， 所以这边他再去讲，他说 Later another coworker joked to newspapers。好，于是呢，就是这个 Murphy 他本身的这个其中一个同事，他后来就跟这个报章杂志啦，可能他们提到了说，哎，你们这次为什么这么成功啊 ？That their team was successful。好，你们怎么成功呢？我们的成功是有原因的，有道理的，哈，because they always took care to consider Murphy's law。啊，也就是说，他们时时刻刻都会很小心的记得我们的同事 Murphy， 他有提到过说，哎呀，如果这么多种方法呢，其中一种会出错的话，他就会出错了。所以我们特别小心，不要让那个东西出现，于是造成了今天的成功。
The phrase Murphy's Law became popular, and more people started using Murphy's Law to describe, number 5, events in their own lives. Not everyone's an engineer, not everyone tests gravity, but things can happen very similar to that situation. So number 5, should we choose A, illegal, B, improper, C, dishonest, or D, unfortunate? Well, the man who kept making mistakes, that's not illegal, not against the law, maybe against Murphy's Law.
Mm-hmm.
Improper, I wouldn't call it that. Dishonest, he wasn't lying on purpose, but it was unfortunate or unlucky for this poor guy who keeps making the same mistake.
所以这边的话，我们答案就选 D 这个选项 unfortunate。所以整句话就说了，后来这个 Murphy's Law 这个词就变得越来越普遍使用了，越来越多的人呢开始使用 Murphy's Law 去描述 unfortunate events in their own lives， 在他生命当中碰到一些倒霉的事情。
These days, nowadays, Nowadays, one word. Nowadays, one word means now.
Mm-hmm.
The expression serves as a warning. Now we call it an expression or phrase. Murphy's Law serves as, it can function as, it can help us by being a warning, be careful, watch out, and explanation. Look, things like this do happen. Get used to it. Get over it. For ruined plans, no matter how good your plan is, something can happen that you did not expect at all. And setbacks. If you have a ruined plan, this is not just unfortunate, but now you have to go back maybe to square one. You have to go back to the beginning and do everything all over again. That's too bad.
没错，老师刚刚提到的 "go back to square one" 指的就是回到原点的意思。所以整句话的意思就是说，时至今日呢，这样的说法，好 ，Murphy's Law 就被当作是一个 warning， 小心墨菲定律哦，好，或者是 an explanation for ruined plans and setbacks， 意思就是指说啊，如果说今天事情真的就出错了啊，没办法嘛，就自嘲一番说，也许就是墨菲定律吧，用这种方式来安慰自己。
Okay, I hope you don't have any Murphy's Law events in your life this week, this month. Anyway, till the next time we get together, bye-bye.
Bye bye.